one is driven to such levels of despair that it comes to this, where there's almost a compulsion to end your life.
But Mooji, I think it's just in the mind. Yesterday, a few days ago, I told you I had this big fears coming from nowhere, and I was cutting something, and I was keeping a knife in my hand, and that voice was coming, cut your hands, cut your hands.
Yes, this is what I call the serpent voice, the serpent's voice, and it is something that comes up like this. You see, how can the voice come so close to you? How can this voice come so close to you? You see, must at some point we're entertaining some relationship with this voice, because in the beginning it starts like everything is nice in the beginning. Maybe something, some relationship with this kind of very subtle energies internally, and you're feeling, you feel good about it. But gradually, in some people, they take over, and you can see it clearly in the behavior that this is not really coming from them as the people who know them know them. It's always some great distortion, some other kind of personalities, other kind of flavors are showing up inside. I've met many people like this. But it can come like this, and it will tell you to do this thing, or to, throw your baby in the fire, throw the baby in the fire. Things like this. Where does that come from? It's from the devil itself. And you have to transcend him. And especially sometimes as you are coming more deeply, also for people coming in satsang sometimes, a moment of despair, and it just feels like spontaneously this comes and has a sort of force to it. It doesn't just come like that from the beginning. It's a courtship. This is how it also happened, that you find more proclivity towards negative thinking, always looking for what doesn't work or what is against you or something like this, and rarely, being reminded of really just the abundance, the beauty, the gifts, the grace in your life you don't see anymore. And then only then these voices can start to have some influence, because you start to doubt. You see, then they can come. They can come like this. But also it can be overcome. But there is somewhere internally that is holding on to some aspect that allows, keeping the door open to something that allows this type of energy to come. And you must identify what it is. Some notion of self is being clung to. Some notion of self is being held on to. That allows these forces to enter and to wreck your house. And there is a kind of stubbornness also in people that holds on. It's like you're holding the door open for them to come, and then you also get to a certain point, they'll take you out. I was saying before that the ego mind, or the serpent mind, it's like a parasite. It doesn't want to kill the host. It only wants to, to be able to supply energy to itself. I used to say this, and then she says, no, it was like this for me. Something wanted to say, jump on over the train. And so we talked about it, and it seemed like it's willing to kill this body so that it can live again in your next body. To perpetuate, to go into a fresh body, have longer time even. Such of these demonic energies. And I don't know what kind of what category and what terminology modern science chooses to put those energies in, because they cannot deny them, but they maybe give a different category, different face to it, but it's the same old fox. Call him what you like, but that force you cannot deny. And no one is really totally exempt from it, you know, if you have that inclination to entertain negative thought and strong personal identity, then conflict can come. With strong personal identity, conflict can come. Because where there's other, there's attraction and repulsion. Friends and foes. It's something like this. And but there are various ways in which one can break out of it if the aspiration is there, if the urge is there. If the urge is not there, nothing you can do. If the urge is not there, not even God can help you.
Mooji, the last couple of days there's been very small, but they are a form of demonic energy, a kind of nagginess, a kind of that kind of thing. And there must be some interest from me fueling it. I'm not trying to pay it too much attention. I'm just happy to let it pass. But also,
and also, don't be too quick to call things demonic energies. You know, you really have got to, at some point, be really pushing it. You have to be really, really wrapped up, almost a recluse inside your own mind. To get it. Once you start to somehow find, in some cases, people start to spend time alone, but they're not in a true contemplation. You can either be alone in a contemplation, or alone as a recluse in your own, wrapped up in your own noise, in your own self-centeredness, psychological self-centeredness. And this is the breeding ground for this type of energetic invasion. What I would call, I'm using this word, but I don't want to create too much noise about that, because in many cases these forces are there just by being conscious. It's a potential, and sometimes we start to entertain little things. That's why thinking is not really the true nature of the mind. The true nature of the mind is contemplation, natural meditation, silence. That's the health mind. That's the mind essence. Talking is really a sort of chit-chatting, chat, is a very, very lowly kind of conduct, basically. It means that there is not really much harmony. There's not centered in a true place. And we are talking like in a kind of an obsession, or like a disease even. You can't stop talking. You need somebody to talk to. You need to do something. And if you're not talking, you're thinking, which is the same as almost as talking. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. And then there's not so many things to say, in truth. So if you're saying a lot of things, it's usually some kind of garbage, something that it's just nobody can relate to. Have you not met people like that? Who just talk, and they're not really. It's almost like whether it's you or move you, put somebody else. The same move you, put somebody else. It doesn't matter. You know, put the subtitle. They'll just be talking. So it's not really. It's not soul talk.
I have this tendency to close myself, to go into this state of loneliness, and what to do.
Well, to be aware of it is one. Is a huge step to be aware of it, because if you're aware of it, automatically there is some distance. If you're observing, the very powerful observing is that it creates and reveals that there's distance, that it's one thing and another. It's not the same. And once you have that distance where you have not united your being with the focus of your attention in that way, then you can begin to recognize that, but this is not, it doesn't belong to me. It's not what is, you see. Observation has that kind of power. and gradually if we are not living with some amount of conscious existence or some contemplative time, then these kind of weeds grow up in the mind. Chit-chat, foolishness, spending too much time on the internet or whatever it is, just kind of, whatever. This type of activity will start to come. And then whatever you're filled with, that is what you're going to start to spew out of your mouth, your body, your presence will start to emit that kind of odor, like that. But generally speaking, if you're also when you're in an environment like this, in a satsang-centered environment, these forces will come up. But here it's different because they come up to come out. They don't just come up to be celebrated, to be passed on. They come up to be passed over. And this is the difference. Is that they come up like bubbles. They come to the surface, and then they pop and they disappear. The bubbles don't go down. You see, so things will come up as light comes to those regions which have not been lit for a while, consciously. And as we begin to investigate and look more deeply into the nature of self, it's like some light is scanning, and it will find seeds which are not, they're not sprouting truth, and it will burn them, and it will come up in such sometimes periods of irritation and stuff because they're coming up, and then they are burped out, and then the greater space is felt. So it can be this rock and roll, bob and weave feelings can come for a while, but they're the birth pains to an inner freedom. Something like this. And it has to come, because if you're here and you feel nothing, just indifference, then you're in a stale place. You see, if you're here and then things come up, you get rubbed a little bit and you feel your little gremlins coming up, but you're protecting them. Don't make them your children. Put them to the fire. And in a short time, your house is clean. In a short time, your house is clean. The more there is a resolve that I won't entertain that, or that you come to real understanding and see that they are not playing any role to support or enhance truth in any way. If they can, you can say such a thing. But they're not. But they're more that they are energies that distort. And then there'll be more. If the veils could be pulled, and you could see things as they are in our internal kind of like psychic organs, you would not stand them. You'd go wow out. But because somehow they emerged, and like the weeds grow up with the flowers, we don't see them. And with a slow growth, a slow nurturing and maturing together, it's like a mixture of sand and sugar. You see, it's like a mixture of sand and sugar. They say the wise ant takes the sugar and leaves the sand untouched. But sometimes we can't tell the difference. You're not sure whether you know something or you just imagine or you think, and things are so. With observing, investigation, looking, clarifying, all these things get burnt. They're burnt. But if you start to shelter things, because there will be periods when we feel a sense of vulnerability, insecurity, judgments, and you take the side of the judgments, then you will prolong that relationship and seeds which can be burnt will live another day. So this is why I say this invitation into the yes, which is like not being a sniper shooting them one by one, but throwing a net over the whole lot. Psychically throw a net over the whole lot. Say, all this, whatever it is, I leave to you. I don't want to be the accountant here. I leave it, I throw it over, everything, whatever it is. What has been, what is now, what potentially can be, all I turn over, including what I am. That is such a safety, in a sense, because that attitude, it's kind of like all-encompassing. It's like a largeness, it's like a large thought than a small thought. You apply a large thought, and that thought is like all of it, including what may come in the future. That's not to say, okay, now because I've said that, I've got nothing to do. No, no, no. You have to be true to your word also. Because sometimes we say things, yes, Lord, I give it to you, and then you keep saying later, yeah, but I gave it away already. No, no, no. Sometimes it's not that it's not been heard, but somehow it has to be confirmed, because we are fickle sometimes in our minds. We say things one minute, and then after something changes, you feel differently. And this is the nature of really weak-mindedness. One minute we say something, and then the next minute you change, and the next minute you change again, and so on. Now, that's not to say that the change of mind is not a good thing. Sometimes it is good. Sometimes it is a strength. Sometimes I would say myself, you don't have to complete what you've started. If you feel it's going a certain, it's not good, you can stop it and say, okay, I discard this. And that's a choice. That's coming from a strong place. But there's a difference between spontaneity or intuition and impulsiveness. Impulsiveness lacks any kind of control. Intuition doesn't need control. It's already coming from a refinement of attention and being, and it just detects what is truthful, and it's merged right there in that. Impulsiveness is like a thought comes and says, left, go left. This person doesn't like you. You start to tap. It's like you're acting out the suggestion of those thoughts. And you must have seen also examples of that. In all of these things, all I'm saying is that the master key is holding the attention in the self. Because all things are reporting to the self in one of its aspects, either directly to the self or to one of its lieutenants. The lieutenant of the self, I would call like the intellect of the being, or the sense I am, will be in the position of observing, that things, you cannot speak about things which have not yet entered your consciousness. So something is reporting to that. So you don't have to go out looking for it. It will come in front. That is stillness. If you go out hunting, then you come into time and space and into object also, because then you take the role of a pursuer or of a seeker in that way. But if you hold your ground in the silence, in the isness, then all things float up in front of you. You see that. And more and more you'll see really the true workings of the universe from the place of the true, which is that in that stillness is in the heart of all activity. So it doesn't matter what you're doing, somehow internally you're in solitude, and your composure is not something, it's not an effort, it's your natural state. You're effortlessly in that inner composure. Outwardly, you can be chiseling and chiseling at the side of a mountain. Inwardly, you're empty, and it doesn't work only with imagination. It's not enough, because people say, but I don't want to be not feeling anything. So only when you've taken the medicine you will know. So my God, how exquisite that all things can be done, all places can be visited, all thoughts can be felt, can be seen, None of them can harm what I am. But there is no indulgence. It's not an excuse. But one just sees. But thoughts by themselves are not a problem. If there's a problem, it occurs to the thinker of thoughts and the identity which forms itself into a thinker. That is where the smell is coming from. But once the thinker itself is seen, then its phenomenality is registered into the deeper seeing, and so it cannot. It's like there's a thief, but you know where he lives. It's like there's a thief in town, and you've got him. What do they do? They put something in him, so wherever he goes, he shows up on your screen. Then you can say, okay, fine, it's okay, let him move, because wherever he goes, I know where you are. So such is the mind. Wherever it goes, whatever his game is, you know that that's the mind. You don't worry about it, because he cannot live here until he's pure. This is a thing. Keep affirming and confirming that when it arises, it is a phenomenon and it is witnessed. Just be clear that you are witnessing that and you are not that. But you must sit for some time. Don't do it just while you're washing the dishes and you have a flash of a kind of like 10-second inquiry. Don't let it just be a 10-second inquiry. It's fine, 10 seconds, but if that type of troublesome energy comes, take a little time, go and sit by yourself for a little bit and concentrate your powers. Bring your powers together and look at it. And keep looking at it. Check it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times to clarify that you should always come back to the same place. When I say, by the time we've spent together has revealed in you the power to bring any state of mind back into silence. That you have this power, exercise it. Don't get carried off with it. You have this power, make use of it. You see? So this is what I would do. I would take time out and just sit for a little bit and sit with that and invite the powers, invite them to come and show themselves and let them come, and then you use them, in fact, to establish your true position. It's almost you use them as a coordinate to see that, well, I'm not in that. And affirm. Each time when you affirm that without yourself they cannot be. Because for whom do thoughts play? Not for themselves. As I said earlier, no thought is self-employed. A thought doesn't think itself into being. It's just an energy. It cannot live separate from the thinker thought. You see? It's like a matchbox and a match. A match cannot strike itself. When they touch together, then you can get a flame. When this thinker thought is there, if thoughts come and they're not engaged with, I don't even call them thinking. Thoughts without thinking, there's no thinking. They cannot stay. They need to combine, they need to be employed, they need to be accepted by the one for whom on whom they impact. When they do like this, then somehow you can say, yes, this thought activity is now activated like that. So you sit and just stay with that, look, clarify, verify, but that's not it. And as soon as, again, it's clear unto yourself, you'll feel the streams of energy that's coming from the self again, which you don't feel it when your eyes are caught in the stream of mind play. But as soon as you cut this umbilical cord to that type of negative thought activity, you start to feel again the carbonated energy of being and the vital force. It's like it's again filling out everything. And they die from lack of oxygen. Oxygen, I mean by oxygen of your attention. and the oxygen of your identity with them. They cannot live. Just like you have a fire in there, you don't put more wood in the fire, it cannot grow. It must die out. It won't die, but it will slowly go out. When you're feeling frustrated and angry, you want the fire just to die. Like, pour water on it, and that can be done too, if it's your time for that. But mostly we are learning on slow release, some of these lessons. Sometimes life turns up the fire, and you're on a stir fry, basically, and quickly things change. But it's on high heat. But outside of the high heat experience, we are just cooking in the sun, slowly. Things. Satsang, sometimes things get processed in 3 months that would ordinarily have taken you 15, 20 years. Sometimes in a few days. Forests fulls of negative conditioning is burnt, depending upon the openness of heart. Where it might have taken you 30 years or even fresh lifetimes to begin to really get to that place where you are really burning your all the decayed wood, all the menacing stuff. In satsang, with a devoted attention, things are burned very, very quickly. But if you hold back and try to hold on to your terrestrial being or existence, hold on to your emotional existence or your psychological existence, then somehow, I hope not too long, maybe just for moments, because if you hold out, you get them time to reestablish a kind of place inside, and they will change the orientation of your thinking. Next thing, you just feel like, I don't want to be here actually. I just feel like I need to go find a job, I need to go and do something. And it's not coming from necessity, it's just coming from a kind of, I don't know what you'd call it, drug state, from that. So I just say that we keep up be faithful to your sadhana, but not in a kind of like monotonous, routine, lethargic, tamasic, rajasic way. No. But really to burn them as soon as you can do them. This is what happened also with Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. He said that my master told me I'm not what I've been brought up to think I am, that I am the self, and to fix the attention on the I am and hold it and don't give that attention to anything else. Remain undivided in that I am, the self-concentration. And he said that's all he did. For hours and days at a time, he was just, whatever he was doing, his mind inwardly was just feeling the I am, being in the I am, being one with it. And he said, in a relative short space of time, I realized the self completely. This is what I am speaking. I'm not into kind of 10-year sadhanas, 5-year sadhanas. They have their place. But if it can blow you up now, I'll blow you up now. Why not? Because it's just more time for freedom. More time for the timeless.
Amen.
He walks the street just like you and me.